The harsh fluorescent lights of Westbridge Tower flickered as Marcus wiped down the marble floors. His reflection distorted in the polished stone. At 42, he'd become invisible. Just another janitor pushing a mop cart through corridors where people in suits walked past without seeing him. But invisibility had its advantages. It meant no one asked questions about the calloused hands that had once coaxed symphonies from piano keys. Or why a man with a Juilliard scholarship worked night shifts cleaning executive bathrooms. Some dreams die loudly, with crashes and broken promises. Others fade quietly, one unpaid bill at a time. Until you're standing in an empty apartment at 3 a.m. holding your sleeping daughter, knowing that pride won't keep her fed. That was 7 years ago. Now his daughter Emma was 10, and Marcus had made peace with his choices. Almost. The melody reached him before he saw her, halting. Uncertain notes plinking from the executive lounge piano. Marcus paused, his hand tightening on the mop handle. That piano was supposed to be off limits. A decorative piece for the penthouse floor where Christine Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Industries, ruled her empire with legendary coldness. Everyone knew the stories. She'd fired a VP for showing up 3 minutes late to a board meeting. She'd eliminated the company's childcare center to cut costs, telling the board that parenting problems were personal issues, not corporate concerns. But those weren't Christine Hartwell's fingers stumbling over the keys. Marcus found her sitting on the bench. A girl of about 8 with dark hair and wide, unfocused eyes that looked past him rather than at him. She wore an expensive velvet dress, and her small hand searched the keys with careful uncertainty. "Hi there," Marcus said softly, not wanting to startle her. "That's a beautiful instrument you found." The girl's hand stilled. "I'm not supposed to touch it. Mom says it's just for decoration. But it sounds so pretty. Even when I play it wrong." She turned her head toward his voice. "Are you going to tell on me?" Marcus noticed then how her eyes didn't quite focus. How she tilted her head to track sounds. "I'm Marcus, the janitor. And between you and me, pianos are meant to be played, not just looked at. What's your name?" "Lily." She smiled shyly. "I can't look at things, though. I'm blind. I have to come to work with Mom sometimes because my nanny quit. She said Mom was too demanding." Lily's small shoulders shrugged with a resignation too mature for her years. "I get bored waiting in her office. I heard the music in my head and followed it here." Something in Marcus's chest cracked open. He thought of Emma. How she'd sit for hours listening to him practice on their old keyboard at home, her face glowing with joy. He thought of all the music he'd locked away, telling himself it didn't matter anymore. "You want to learn how to make it sound even prettier." The words were out before he could stop them. Lily's face transformed. "Really? You'd teach me?" For the next 45 minutes, Marcus forgot about the floors that needed mopping. He showed Lily where middle C lived, how to find the other notes by counting keys, teaching her through touch and sound instead of sight. Her small fingers stumbled and pressed wrong keys. But she laughed with delight when she managed to play 3 notes in a row. "That's Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star," she exclaimed. "I know that song." "You're a natural," Marcus said, meaning it. She had good instincts, a sense of rhythm that couldn't be taught. "Will you teach me again?" Lily asked as he reluctantly checked his watch. 2 a.m., he still had 3 floors to finish. "Please?" "Tomorrow night." Marcus knew he should say no. Getting involved with the CEO's daughter was asking for trouble. But the hope in Lily's voice reminded him why he'd fallen in love with music in the first place, not for the spotlight or the accolades, but for moments like these, when notes became joy. "Tomorrow night," he agreed. What Marcus didn't see was Christine Hartwell standing in the shadows of the corridor, her tablet forgotten in her hand. She'd come looking for her daughter, irritated that Lily had wandered off again. She'd been about to march in and put a stop to this unauthorized piano lesson from the help. But something stopped her. Maybe it was the sound of Lily. Laughing, really laughing, for the first time since the accident that had taken her sight 2 years ago. Maybe it was the gentleness in the janitor's voice as he encouraged her daughter, showing patience Christine couldn't remember having for anyone. Maybe it was the shame that bloomed in her chest when she realized a stranger was giving Lily something she'd been too busy to provide. Attention, kindness, a reason to smile. Christine Hartwell hadn't always been cold. Once, she'd been a young mother who sang lullabies and dreamed of ballet recitals and bedtime stories. But her husband's betrayal, the custody battle that painted her as too career-focused to be a real mother, and the accident that took Lily's sight while Christine was in Tokyo, closing a merger, each loss had added another layer of ice, until she'd convinced herself that emotions were weaknesses she couldn't afford. She didn't intervene that night, or the next night, or the one after that. Instead, she watched from the shadows as this janitor, whose name she'd never bothered to learn, transformed her daughter. Lily began asking to stay late at the office, something Christine had never heard before. The child who'd been withdrawn and silent started humming melodies. During meetings, Christine found herself distracted, watching the clock, waiting for 8 p.m. when she could slip away to her hidden vantage point and watch the piano lessons unfold. Marcus taught Lily more than piano. He taught her spatial awareness by explaining the geography of the keys. He taught her confidence by celebrating her mistakes as learning opportunities. He told her stories about famous blind musicians, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Art Tatum, who hadn't let darkness dim their light. My daughter used to say I played like the piano was talking, Marcus mentioned one night. She said music tells stories that words can't. You have a daughter? Lily asked. Does she play too? Marcus's hands stilled. She wants to. But lessons are expensive, and our keyboard at home barely works. Someday, though, when things are better. In the shadows, Christine felt another crack in her armor. 3 weeks into their lessons, Christine made a decision. She arrived at the office earlier than usual, timing her entrance for when Marcus would be there with Lily. She stepped into the lounge, her heels clicking against the floor. Lily's hands froze mid-song. Marcus stood quickly, his face pale. Ms. Hartwell, I apologize. I should have asked permission. Mom. Lily interrupted, turning toward her mother's voice. Marcus is teaching me piano. Listen. Her fingers found the keys and played a simple but beautiful rendition of Claire de Lune. Not perfect, but filled with feeling. Christine's throat tightened. Lily was playing Chopin, the same piece Christine's own mother had played for her before cancer stole her away. She'd forgotten that memory, buried under years of corporate armor. That was beautiful, Lily, Christine managed, her voice uncharacteristically soft. She turned to Marcus, really looking at him for the first time. She saw the pride in his eyes as he watched Lily, the threadbare quality of his uniform, the quiet dignity in his stance despite clearly expecting to be fired. Mr. Williams. Marcus Williams. Mr. Williams, I need to speak with you. Lily, sweetheart, wait in my office for a moment. After Lily reluctantly left, Christine studied Marcus. How long have you been teaching my daughter? 3 weeks, ma'am. I know I should have asked. I'll understand if. I've been watching, Christine interrupted. Every night for 3 weeks. I've watched you teach my daughter. With more patience and kindness than anyone has shown her since the accident. Including me. Marcus said nothing, unsure where this was going. Christine continued, her voice cracking slightly. I've spent 2 years trying to fix everything for Lily, the best doctors, the most expensive specialists, the finest adaptive technology. But I never thought to ask what she actually needed. You gave her that in 3 weeks. You gave her joy. She pulled out her phone, typed rapidly, then looked up at Marcus. I did some research. Marcus Williams, Juilliard Scholarship recipient. Concert pianist, until your wife passed away and you became a single father. You gave up everything for your daughter. Marcus's jaw tightened. She needed a parent more than I needed a career. Yes, Christine whispered. She did. Just like Lily needs a mother more than she needs. Someone who provides for her. Material needs but nothing else. She straightened her shoulders. I'm offering you a position as Lily's full-time music instructor. Salary commensurate with your qualifications, benefits, and a music room in our home. You'll also receive a grant for your daughter's education, including music lessons of her own. Marcus stared at her, speechless. I'm also stepping back from some of my responsibilities, Christine added. I've been so busy building an empire that I forgot what I was building it for. My daughter needed me to show up. And I've been hiding behind work. Afraid that if I stopped moving, I'd have to feel everything I've been running from. Ms. Hartwell. Christine, she corrected. And I'm not finished. The company is funding a scholarship program for children of our employees who show musical talent. We're also reinstating the child care center. Better late than never. Marcus felt tears burning his eyes. Why? Because a janitor showed me what humanity looks like, Christine said simply. You saw my daughter when I'd stopped seeing her. You gave her a gift when you barely have anything yourself. That kind of kindness is rare. And I realized I'd become exactly what people say about me, cold. Calculating, someone who'd lost sight of what matters. She extended her hand. Thank you, Marcus. For giving my daughter her music. And for reminding me of mine. 6 months later, Christine sat in the front row of the small recital hall, watching Lily perform a duet with Emma Williams. The two girls had become inseparable. Their friendship as unexpected as the transformation that had swept through all their lives. Marcus sat beside Christine. And for the first time in years, she felt the ice around her heart had finally melted. As the final notes faded, Lily and Emma took their bows. And the audience erupted in applause. But Christine only had eyes for her daughter's smile, radiant, confident, free. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the loudest echoes. A janitor saw a lonely blind girl and chose compassion over indifference. In doing so, he didn't just change one life. He changed them all. Proving that humanity's greatest symphony is written not in notes on a page, but in the moments when one human heart reaches out to another. Expecting nothing, offering everything. That night, as Marcus tucked Emma into bed, she asked, Daddy, are we lucky now? He thought about Christine, who'd become not just an employer but a friend. He thought about Lily, whose laughter now filled the music room where he taught every afternoon. He thought about the piano in their new apartment, a gift from Christine, where he and Emma practiced together every evening. Yeah, sweetheart, Marcus whispered, kissing her forehead. We're lucky now. But more than that, we're grateful. Because luck was finding $100 in an old coat. Gratitude was knowing that kindness, freely given, asking nothing in return, could transform darkness into light, loneliness into family, and a simple piano lesson into a symphony of second chances.